On July 10th, the right wing of Axel Heinrich's Army of Karelia, the Finnish 6th Corps, crosses the border and enters the Soviet Union. In the first week of open combat in what would be called the Continuation War, the Finnish 11th and 5th Infantry Divisions pushed back the Soviet 198th Rifle and the 71st Rifle Divisions from its border defensive positions. As the Germans are invading deeper into the Soviet Union, their forces are starting to disperse over a wider area. In this episode, the three battle spaces I will be focused on are the German and Soviet pushes around the town of Soltsy, the Finnish offensive action in Karelia, and the German pushes into Estonia. Alright guys, let's jump into the episode with the 4th Panzer Group's actions around the town of Soltsy. As we start the episode, let's jump in on the German divisions of the 56th Motorized Corps. As you can see on screen, the German 8th Panzer Division is overstretched and nearly out of supply. The Germans don't know yet, but the Soviets have been preparing a counterattack around the town of Soltsy. Early in the morning on July 15th, the Soviets begin their counterattack. With the 70th Rifle Division leading the charge from the north and the 182nd Division leading the charge from the southeast, the Soviets are able to quickly cut off the 8th Panzer Division. Erich von Manstein, the commander of the German 56th Motorized Corps, sees the precarious situation the 8th Panzer is in, and orders a breakout to be attempted the next day on July 16th. In the early morning hours of July 16th, the 8th Panzer abandons the city of Soltsy and pushes on towards the Schelon River. The SS Infantry Division Totenkopf is ordered northeast to meet them on the Schelon River and hold open the avenue of escape for the 8th Panzer. By the end of the day, on the 16th of July, the SS Totenkopf Division has reached the Schelon River and held open the gap for the 8th Panzer. The 8th Panzer makes good its escape, but in the process of evacuating Soltsy, it loses more than half of its armored vehicles. To the south of the Soltsy battlefield, the 180th and 181st Rifle have pushed the Germans out of the town of No. As we can see on the map, using its numerical superiority, the Soviets hope to push past the Schelon River and retake the cities of Pskov and even threaten the recently captured major city of Pskov. On the 17th and 18th of July, the German Totenkopf Division and the 3rd Motorized Division are able to hold the Schelon River line. The Soviets are desperate to break the German defense on the river line and throw multiple wave attacks against the river line in an attempt to find a gap in the German defenses. The Totenkopf Division and the 3rd Motorized Division hold firm, and the Soviet wave attacks peter out against the river line. Due to the successful German defense on the river line, the 11th and 21st Infantry Divisions are able to recapture the city of No. On the 19th of July, the 8th Panzer is moved behind German lines to rebuild it back to full strength. On the 20th of July, the Germans go over to a general counteroffensive. The Soviets, having seen their efforts to destroy several German divisions fail, fall back in utter disarray. As we zoom out, we can see more of the Soltsy battle space, and the Germans, with their general counteroffensive, begin to recapture cities and towns that they had previously lost. On the 22nd and 23rd of July, the Germans continued their counteroffensive. On the 22nd of July, the German 11th Infantry Division recaptures the city of Soltsy, and the 21st Infantry Division pushes up against the city of Volat. As we can see, the Soviet counterattacks had failed, but it did do one thing: it scared the German high command enough, where on the 23rd of July, Army Group North paused all future offensive actions until their positions were further solidified. The Finnish forces in this sector are still upset at the results of the Winter War a year and a half previously with the Soviets, and they have put together the Army of Karelia under Axel Heinrich to march into East Karelia and retake the lands lost during the Winter War. On July 10th, the right wing of Axel Heinrich's Army of Karelia, the Finnish 6th Corps, crosses the border and enters the Soviet Union. In the first week of open combat in what would be called the Continuation War, the Finnish 11th and 5th Infantry Divisions push back the Soviet 198th Rifle and the 71st Rifle Divisions from its border defensive positions. By the end of the first week of open combat, the Finnish 11th Infantry Division had cut the rail link in this sector, which severely disrupted supplies getting to the Soviet 168th Rifle. On the 19th of July, the Soviet 7th Corps gets in on the action, with the Finnish 7th, 19th, and 2nd Infantry Divisions advancing south and east. On the 20th of July, the 7th Infantry Division captures the town of Vortisla and advances south, pushing the 168th Rifle before it. The Soviet 168th Rifle Division is now cut off from overland supply routes and is being pursued by multiple Finnish infantry divisions and begins to fall back to the town of Sordavla. On the 24th of July, the Finnish 1st Brigade reaches the northeastern shores of Lake Ladoga and begins to advance down its eastern side. Zooming out a little bit, on the 26th of July, the Finnish 1st Brigade continues its march down the coast of Lake Ladoga, and the units of the Finnish 7th Corps continue to press the 168th Rifle Division around the town of Sordlava. By the end of the month of July, after nearly 3 weeks of open combat against the Soviets, the Finns had captured most of northeastern Karelia, and the next stage of the continuation war was to begin soon. In this sector, we have the German 18th Army that is trying to push further up the Baltic states. And on the 22nd of July, they are about to start an offensive that they hope will push the Soviets out of Estonia forever. On the 22nd of July, the German 254th and 61st Infantry Divisions immediately pushed to the east, overwhelming the Soviet 11th Rifle Division. The two German infantry divisions moved quickly, and on the 24th of July, they captured the city of Tagava. While the two German infantry divisions continued their main push east, the German 93rd Infantry Division pushes up north from Tartu. On the 26th of July, the German 254th Infantry Division captures the town of Mustri on the shores of Lake Peipus, thereby cutting off the retreat of the Soviet 125th and 48th Rifle Divisions. Over the next few days, the German infantry divisions reduce the Soviet pocket on the lake, and nearly 9,000 Soviet soldiers become prisoners of war, and the rest escape back to Soviet lines. Now, with the Soviet forces in Estonia weakened by the destruction of nearly 2 Soviet rifle divisions, we can see the German strategy for the rest of the offensive unfolding. The Germans are aiming to split the Soviet 8th Army in half and then push on Tallinn. On the 28th of July, the Germans continue their offensive. The German 254th, 61st, 93rd, and 217th Infantry Divisions immediately push north. Due to the weakening of the Soviet forces in this sector, the Germans make a quick breakthrough and nearly reach the city of Rakove. As the situation continues to deteriorate, the Soviet High Command sends the 118th Rifle Division to Rakove to try to hold the important rail junction to Tallinn. With the Germans now cutting the main rail line to Tallinn, the Soviet forces in Estonia are getting harder to supply, and the Soviet 8th Army is now starting the retreat to the east. There are several Soviet rifle divisions that will not be able to retreat east. With the rail line being cut, they are now trapped in the defense of Tallinn. The Germans continued their offensive, and on August 6th, they captured the city of Rakove. The Soviet 11th Rifle Division is doing its best to escape the 254th Infantry Division and trying to escape to the east. On the 7th of August, the German 254th Infantry Division reaches the coast near Kunda, thereby cutting Estonia in half. With the Germans having reached the coast, the remaining Soviet rifle divisions in Estonia fall back around Tallinn. The German-Estonian offensive is to be considered a major success. It pushed the Soviet 8th Army out of Estonia and successfully isolated the major Soviet port of Tallinn. Now let's zoom out from the Estonian battle space to the larger Operation Barbarossa strategic map. In the central part of the front, you have the German 4th Panzer Group, which had regained the initiative in the Soltsy area. And in the north, you have the Finnish Army of Karelia, which had pushed back the Soviet 7th Army and made significant inroads into Eastern Karelia. And finally, in the Estonian sector, you have the German 18th Army, which had split the Soviet 8th Army in half and captured most of Estonia.